Hello, Forecaster here again, and we are back for episode 142. And I have come up with the solutions for our problems. Well, more specifically, one of them, because the other one was pretty easy and pretty much just involved making a bunch of components. So we're going to have a look at this one first. So the solution I came up with was using an integrated circuit. So here you can see we have a pretty simple design, I would argue. And we have on the bottom two analog I/O inputs, and on the side we have a simple output, and then we have a NOT gate. Now the analog I/O ports allow you to specify a frequency. And this is basically the signal strength that the side needs to receive for this specific port to output a signal inside of the integrated circuit. This one is set to 15 and the other one is set to 14. So when this side is receiving a signal strength of 14 or 15, this wire here is going to be powered, which is going to, of course, turn off the NOT gate and stop the output here. So that means that when the comparator is outputting 13 or less, since we don't have any inputs with these frequencies set, this is not going to do anything in the gate, and these two are going to be off. So that means that the NOT gate will power our output, which is going to go to the controller box, of course. But as soon as the signal strength goes into 14 and then 15, which would happen when the tank fills, these will turn on, and one of them will always be on. So this one will turn on first, and then if the tank continues to fill and becomes full, this will go on. And these will turn off the NOT gate, which will turn off our output and thus turn off the reactor. Pretty simple gate. So I'm going to take that, and I've already prepared the components required, as you can see, and we're going to put the chip in, and then it is going to print. Then we have our Project Red comparator. We can probably put that, the vanilla comparator, away. We also have some other things we can get rid of, maybe. We have that. Don't need that right now. And then we can put these gates in here so we get some additional space for things, because we're also going to get some components here, and unless I am terribly mistaken, we need some more room. This is going to be what we need to expand our reactor to house another two double cells. This is almost done. Now, I haven't updated Project Red, so there still is no way to actually craft this into a gate for some reason, which I'm still not sure why or what's up with that. But what I'm going to do is, alright, this doesn't take tanks. What I'm going to do is take a creative gate. So this is done. We are actually going to discard this because we can't actually use it. Take a creative mode IC chip, which is a lot faster and doesn't use any components. And then we're going to right click that, which will give us a working IC gate, which is untitled because I forgot to name the blueprint, but that doesn't actually matter, so that's fine. It can be untitled. So now we're going to head down to the bunker and install our new and improved level control. As you can see, I put some more blocks here. I also expanded this tank because the reactor was getting full of hot coolant, which wasn't good. It seems I might have actually put a little too much coolant into the system. Or actually, it's probably because the reactor was running too much. So, we have our comparator here. It is detecting the level in the tank. And then we are simply going to put our IC gate there. And as you can see, we have our input here. And then on the left side, we have our output. So you can see I moved the toggle latch up one block. So if we put a wire here, it is going to connect to our circuit and then into the toggle latch. Actually, we don't want the toggle latch there at all. We can get rid of this, and then we can put that there. Now we don't actually want that to connect, so I'm going to have to put a strip there. Let's put these away. So we should actually go get one of those immediately, just to make sure that I don't forget. It should be fairly quick. I'm pretty sure I have spare wooden strips lying around somewhere. Should be in the construction chest or crate. Spruce wood plank strip. We will have one of these. You can actually leave the toggle latch in the... oh, it's actually full. Let's grab some tracks out of that. We'll put those in here, I suppose. Yeah, that'll do. And now we're going to head back down. I'm going to put the strip where it's needed. And then we're going to don our hazmat suit. Might actually grab that right away. Take our containment box for in a little bit. We're going to get to work on the reactor. I will obscure these blocks at a later time. Don't worry about that. We'll put that there to block that connection because we don't want it to interfere with the... oh dear. Let's hope that lasts. Should have noticed that and gotten more water when I was upstairs, but oh well. So let's move all of this over. And then we're going to assemble a stack just like this here. Will probably do. So as you can see, I made all of the same components. So it would be there, and then this there, those two there, and then these two here. There. Now all we need is... Those are depleted. Now I'm not sure I want to put more in until I've actually used up these. Because these are going to burn out first anyway, so I would prefer to put four new in that have... These two have a little usage, so they've lost a little fuel, but these are close enough. So I want them all to burn out at the same time, if possible. So I'm probably going to wait with putting more in. I have a ventilation shaft here. So what I might want to do is run the system and use the manual shutoff to... Actually, this is almost filled up. Let's turn this on. We are now gaining power. This is outputting superheated steam. We didn't have an explosion when this thing started up, which is a welcome sign, or whatever you would call it. So we're still going to see a loss of coolant overall. But as you can see, the reactor is running. Oh, I got some red pipe wire. Popped off that structure pipe here. I didn't pick it up. So because there is too little coolant, hot coolant, in the buffer tank, we have a signal here which should turn on the reactor and have it run. We look here, the red light is lit, which means the reactor is running. Stupid noisy rain. Now, once this fills up, we should see this system turn off on its own. And since the power is not being used by anything, since this isn't connected to our grid, it's going to remain off. So what I will probably have to do is connect this up to our grid, and then I'm going to have to keep an eye on this and let it run through these two cells. But I have to make sure that the that the coolant processing system doesn't run out of hot coolant, because then bad things might start happening. We are going to turn off the boiler now, because we should be just about ready to switch to the reactor permanently, and this is about a third left of our turbine rotor here. Which actually reminds me, I'm actually running low on iron again, it seems. Which makes sense, because I've been using quite a lot of it to make reactor components, not to mention the IC2 rotors. turbines, turbine blades. Reactor is still running. I should prepare a set of spare turbine rotors for this, or they actually stop working. I don't know if they'll actually break or if they'll stop working just before they run out of durability, so you can repair them similarly to what the Railcraft turbine will do. The Railcraft turbine will, when the rotor is almost broken, it will just stop working. So it won't damage the rotor anymore, it won't produce any more power either. So you can take the rotor out and repair it whatever way you like, using a mod or an anvil or another rotor perhaps, and then you can put it back in and it will start working again. I don't know how these work, but I will probably, since these pretty much need to be here, because if I take them out, this is going to start trying to input steam into here, but this won't be able to receive any once its buffer is full, which is probably pretty small. And I believe then I would start losing steam and water, which would be annoying. It's not a big deal, but it is a closed system, and losing some of it will eventually mean that it will empty out, and I will need to refill it. So probably want to avoid that. It would also be a waste of power, of course, because it takes hot coolant to make that steam, which is lost. So it's an automatic waste. So this is almost full. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 100,000 energy units left. And then we should see this gate turn on, hopefully. And as we can see, the reactor cannot keep up with the processing system, because this tank is actually draining instead of filling. Optimally, this will fill faster than the system can process the coolant. We want the let's see. Now we saw this. So we can see this is turned on, which will turn on these gates, and we will see a little power build up here. And there's the shut off, so now these will have stopped. So we have some extra power in here, about 60,000 energy units, looks like, just about 62, I suppose, or something around there. So once this MFE starts draining, the power that is stored in here, our 60,000 energy units, are going to be pulled into here first, and then this MFE is going to start draining again, and this is going to turn off. And that is going to produce some more power, which is going to build up these buffers again, and then it's going to continue doing that. If I wanted to, I could introduce a delay here somehow. There's probably a bunch of ways to do that, which will mean that this buffer will fill up a little more, depending on the delay, of course, which means that I can control how often this runs. So it will run in longer bursts instead of turning on and off more often, which might be preferable to get a steadier generation rate. ultimately, or for efficiency, it doesn't really matter. It'll use the same amount of hot coolant. Um, Now, if this steam generator actually lost heat, I would of course want to keep this running for as long as possible, and I would probably want it running in very long bursts, more rarely, rather than on demand for shorter periods. But as it is currently, with the heat level remaining the same as long as there is water flowing through, or water being input, um, having it turn on and off more often is perfectly fine. So I suppose what we're going to do is we are going to make a hole here in our foam floor, and then we're going to go down here and then find our way this way, and there should be a cable here somewhere. It should be our main power line. There it is. Now this is insulated HV cable, so we'll probably want to keep that going all the way over here, in case I want to put more things on it later. Because I have some copper and some gold. Oh dear. Oh crap. Yes, yes. Well, this is embarrassing. I've been hit with a number of problems at once. This loud alarm being one of them. So let's turn that off. Now the reactor is offline, so it should be fine. Now I wonder why this keeps happening. The reactor keeps running, even though our storage has filled up, so this is still turned on. I wonder why. Ow. Okay, so it doesn't like me trying to get in the space above the gates for some reason. So it looks like this is outputting something. I can't quite tell what. So we're going to head upstairs and get a couple of things, one of them being some water. There's some heat in the reactor currently. Again, very happy about the existence of the failsafe. Without that, the reactor would probably have blown up multiple times already. Really just one, of course, but you know what I mean. Let's have some water first. Refill my bottles so I have some on me. The reason I'm carrying 2 extra bottles right now is because I killed a witch who had spawned in my base when I lost power for too long, so my light started going out. And that witch dropped 2 bottles. I don't actually plan on filling them with water because they take up too much space. So, what was I doing? I want some HV cable. Don't know if I actually have any of that lying around anywhere. Probably not. I would guess. I actually do. There's probably some I made by accident when I put iron into the metal former while it was in extruding mode when I thought it would be in hammering mode. Rolling mode. That's the one. I'm going to want a multimeter. For that, I need some red alloy ingots. Can make that with some molten redstone, which, if you don't know, this is a fluid from Railcraft that isn't actually used for anything. So I've used it as a substitute for molten redstone, which no mod adds. So I've added a recipe for that, and I've used that to make a way to make red alloy ingots slightly cheaper with concern or in respect of redstone, of course. It still uses the same amount of iron. I do believe that I need 6 piles of redstone per ingot when using the molten redstone method. You should have a filter for this already, yes. So I don't need to change you. So we're going to put that in. And then we are going to get 2 iron ingots. And then we're going to make sure that this faces our vat. Put the iron ingots in. This should be smelting the redstone. This also bypasses the furnace bit by infusing the ingots directly with the redstone instead of needing the this step. We get the red alloy ingot directly. We'll need an emerald, some glowstone, and some black and red dye. We will leave that going, and we'll head upstairs and look for the dyes. In the meantime, I should have some here. At the very least, black dye. Okay, turns out I don't. Whoops. I hate getting turned around like that. Fortunately, I have the plants out here, which essentially produce black dye for free, which is handy. For red dye, we might be able to steal some from the plastic mixer over here. And as you can see, I've made a bunch of plastic, but I don't remember why. I'm sure I had a reason, or I made a mistake and made too much, which is also a possibility, of course. So there we go. We have 1 red alloy ingot. Should be just about ready. Looks like it's making the other one. So, unfortunately, we've reached the end of this episode. So, we are going to have to come back in the next one to actually properly troubleshoot the reactor control system. What I want to do is, of course, is find out why the integrated circuit keeps outputting a redstone signal even when the tank is full, because it obviously wasn't intended to do that. There's a bunch of balls of enchanting that I've bought using the Amadron system from Railcraft, which is extremely handy. I've been selling LPG, of course, because I had a ton of it. I have significantly less now, of course, because I don't have any more oil to process, which is an issue we're going to have to solve eventually. Set up a pumping station somewhere on some oil well. Still have plenty, though, to continue powering my pressure setup, which is basically the elevator. Is the only thing that uses pressure for the most part, because the refinery, of course, isn't running right now because I don't have anything to process, and so on. So we have our insulated HV cable, we have our multimeter for seeing what the comparator is doing, and the integrated circuit. I don't know if the multimeter actually does anything on the integrated circuit, but we will see. So, with that, I will see you in the next episode.